Yep, I think we're live. Let me know on your guys' end what it looks like, but from my end, it looks like we're live. Please let me know. Frederick in the on the chat already. Frederick, Andre, I appreciate you, my guy. Frederick on the chat already. Yeah, let me know in the comments in the live chat if you guys can hear me properly, if you can hear me properly, if there are any problems, because we have a lot of things to get on with. There are a lot of things to talk about. The game just ended, and there are a lot of takeaways from me, and there are also a few things from just from this week, from this United week, the videos I want to make that we need to get on. But before we start, I appreciate everyone. Like, share, subscribe. If anyone wants to, it helps a lot. Yeah, I appreciate you, Frederick. But yeah, United against Fiorentina, not the most exciting game of football. I was expecting a lot more. The game was very poor. United were very poor. A lot of things were just not good enough from this United game. And I appreciate that it's preseason, but even for preseason, you kind of expect more. You kind of expect more. Did not really like what I saw. Was not excited, was not inspired. There wasn't really anything there for me to take away. I try to keep these as positive as I can, but that game was not it. Rasmus Hoyland also not getting any minutes. What's up with that? You saw how we were playing. A number nine was definitely needed. We're going to talk about Mason Mount and what I think his game was like, but a lot of things that were happening. And yeah, but where we're going to start today, let me just try and sort this out. We're going to start with the players' rankings. The first thing we're going to do today is rank. Is this going to let me? Just bear with me 1 second, guys. The first thing we'll do is rank some players and see how they play today. If this thing just wants to work today. Interesting. Oh, I'll also drop the link in the chat. If anyone watching wants to come on and talk about the game, talk about what they thought, I've left the link in the chat. Just join, and then I'll bring you on accordingly. Okay, here it is. Let me go back to my page. Okay, here we are. Okay, perfect. This actually works quite well. I didn't think this was going to work there for a second, but yes, this is working quite well. I'll say again, link in the chat if you want to come on and talk about the game, talk about what you thought. Please do so. I'm going to get people on after I do the player rankings, but just a quick heads up. 1 through 5, or 5 of course being the highest rating, 1 showing that you had a poor game. I don't think anyone in particular had a poor game. I don't think anyone's going to be a 1. There's going to be a lot of threes. I think a lot of people were quite mid, and I think there might be 1 or 2 fours. And I think the first 4 that we go with. Wait, something happened on the screen. Okay, if it's guys in the chat and trying to it, but the first 4 that was fire. I feel like Harry Maguire did not really put a foot wrong into getting a rating of 5. But at the same time, he did not put a foot wrong to try and make some progression through the pitch. He tried to do that. There was, of course, that show against David De Gea. That's not necessarily the reason why he is a 4, but I just thought that Harry had a very solid game. They don't really put a foot wrong. And yeah, just overall, I really like Maguire's game. Nothing impressive, but at the same time, I feel like he was a good outing. Who the very outing was Heaven. I feel like Heaven struggled today. I do believe that today, where at times I thought he was a Am I back, Frederick? I think yeah. Something happened with the connection. StreamYard logged me out. I feel like we're having some connection issues again, guys. Not back home yet, so we are having some connection issues. Let me know if we're back. Let me know. We're gonna carry on. If it logs me out again, then we'll stop. But we'll carry on. Again, having some connection issues. Not the best. Not back home yet. Not the same speed of internet and not the same PC. My PC is a bit more powerful. I'm just trying to use my laptop right now. But yeah, let me know if you guys if we carry on good or what happens. Anyways, let's get back into it. Mm, yes. Okay. Talking about heaven. Yeah, heaven just not the game I wanted to see from him. Expected more from him. Which we're talking about our back three going into the season. That's actually one of the points that I think we are quite strong. There are definitely problems with our midfield, and I'll talk about our midfield more in depth in a second. I feel like I kind of understand what the problem with our midfield is, and there's a lot to do with Ruben Amorim. We're talking about getting all these signings, getting Baleba, who we will also talk about later on in the stream. But we're talking about getting all these signings and getting Baleba on. However, I think there is a problem that Amorim can fix with this midfield. Anyways, we're gonna get into that. But just on heaven, I don't think he starts. He doesn't start over any of our other centre backs, and he has quite a lot to climb back up. He has a lot of climbing to do. He has a lot of climbing to do. I don't think. Oh, there was also penalties. Oh, okay. I just ended the game there. Anyways, we don't care about those penalties. Anyways, they're not going to tell us the story that we want to know. But yeah, Heaven to me was not quite solid in today's game. I give him a 2. I thought he was quite shaky. Then we're talking about Bendy. I feel like he did concede the goal, but I don't think that goal was really his fault. It's just once again we done a very poor job of defending a set piece. This is like kind of becoming something regular in our team, something that has plagued us for quite a few years now, being very poor from a set piece. And today again, just that set piece was there. There wasn't a lot. There's not a lot a goalkeeper can do from that position, and they scored. But I still think overall he was quite solid, not impressive, but also not bad per se. It's not like he made a mistake or anything. It's just not that impressive. I'm going to try and go through the starters first. So I'm going to ignore Diogo Dallo, and I'm going to go to Mason Mount. Originally, when the game was going on, I thought Mason Mount was having a mid game. Yes, there was pressing, but he wasn't really doing much. But then I quickly realized, like, we're asking Mason Mount to play out of position. The work rate Mason Mount was doing was fantastic. I think there was he did recover the ball a few times, but I think there were 3 key times where Mason Mount recovered the ball in positions that allowed us to then go on and start a counter attack. What we've asked Mason Mount to do today in that formation, I feel like Mason Mount had a good game. There are questions around Mason Mount on what does he look like going forward? What do our plans with Mason Mount look like? What is even the plan for Mason Mount, if there is one? There are a lot of questions around that, but I feel like today Mason Mount done a solid job. He done a good job. Doing what he was asked to do, press. And then at times when we had the ball, especially one of our most dangerous plays when Cunha almost scored, but then he went for a corner. It was that 1-2, that 1-2-1 that he had with Bruno Fernandes. That was very good, very good. That's probably the best bit of football I saw today. The link up between Bruno and Mason Mount, which then led to Cunha almost scoring. That's the best bit of football. So all of that in Mount, considering that the fact that Mason Mount was involved in creating our most dangerous opportunity, and he was also, how do you say, he was also very good off the ball. He was our best player off the ball by a mile. I do think he's a 4. Diego Leon did not quite get to see him. Rasmus Højlund, I know he didn't play, but Rasmus Højlund not getting any minutes today. What is up with that? If you watch that game, you could clearly see that we needed that. We needed a striker in that game. We needed someone to kind of just stay there and get ready for those counter opportunities. There was a lot of times where I saw Ahmad wanted to get a cross in, Dorgu wanted to get a cross in, and they just couldn't quite get a cross in because there wasn't anyone there. I remember there was this time when Mason Mount kind of like put a Trivella into the box, and I was like, "What are you doing?" But it kind of makes sense as a midfielder. You want to try and get the ball inside the box. It's just that there was no one there. A game where perhaps a striker would be helpful. Very, very excited to see what Benjamin Sesko does next week against Arsenal. That will be very interesting. In a game where we needed, that striker, we didn't quite have anyone there, and Hoyland did not play. But again, we're not on Hoyland where we're gonna move on to. I think the link is still. Yeah, I'll leave the link up there. I'll pin the link as well. Again, guys, if you want to come on and talk about United, please feel free to do so. But anyways, going on to Cunha. There were times there where I could have seen Cunha having a quote unquote good game, but it just wasn't good enough. The finishing was not there. The work rate off the ball was there. There were a few times where Cunha was able to win the ball back, and that was quite good. But just his ball progression was also very good. It's going to be very fun to see Cunha progress throughout the season. But just overall, I just feel like there were a few moments, but Cunha wasn't at all that special. I gave him a 3. He had a solid game. Nothing really to scream home about. His partner, Dorgu, I feel like Dorgu and Heaven had the 2 worst games, especially towards the end. That mistake Dorgu made, he should be counting his lucky stars that the Ligt was able to recover so well against Keane. Moises Keane was on the attack, and he was really looking to score. And the mistake that Dorgu made, he should be very lucky that the Ligt was able to recover so fast and change that chance from something into nothing. Dorgu on the ball was not that inspiring. Going forward, there were like at least 4 times where Dorgu was going forwards. All of a sudden, he would look up, he would see no one, and he would just stop. There was this one time that really annoyed me where he was just at the edge of the box. He stops the ball and then looks back and passes the ball backwards. It's like, as a left wing back, yes, you need to defend, but you also need to be able to go forward, be competent at going forward. There's no way one of our players in an attacking position takes the ball at the edge of the box and passes the ball backwards. That is not acceptable. Especially, I wish I could bring up that, how do you say, that play, because it really annoyed me. Dorgu needs to be more comfortable and more confident at getting the ball and just going forward. I remember the goal he scored earlier on in the preseason kind of showed that the kind of link up he had with Diego Leon. He just powered forward, and I wish he'd done more of that in this game. In my opinion, next week you start Luke Shaw at left wing back. Whether it's left wing back or we go back to a back 4, you start Luke Shaw at left back. Dorgu does not start. He's had a solid preseason so far. I gave him his praise, but just watching him today, it's like he's not got that attacking ability yet. I don't think he's got the attacking ability yet to be dangerous offensively. He can do a solid enough job defensively, but offensively, I don't think he really adds much to this team. And for that, especially in this game, and for that, I'm putting him at 2. Oh, I appreciate you once again, Frederick. I appreciate the super chat. I wish I had my soundboard here. Once again, Frederick, blessing the stream. Thank you very much, Frederick. I'll leave that up throughout the stream. Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. Frederick with the super chat and doesn't really say much, just the emojis, 100 and the smiley face. I appreciate that, Frederick. Thank you very much. We'll move on. That kind of threw me off. I was not expecting that. Thank you, Frederick. Again, guys, please let me know in the comments if the stream is still going well. Again, we are in foreign territory. The laptop, the connection. Let me know if that is working well. Let me know if the microphone is going well. I think the camera is doing an all right job, but you guys just let me know in the comments. Yeah, but Dorgu overall, not a very strong game. Then you move on to Casemiro. I don't think Casemiro had a bad game. I don't think Casemiro had a bad game, but I don't think he had a good game either. He was just very mid. Casemiro was very mid. And I am worried about this midfield because in this midfield, you're not allowing any of our players to do what they do best. It's like at the minute, this midfield looks like you just have um, two midfielders there for the sake of it. And I feel like that's something Amory needs to fix. At the minute, it looks like he just has two midfielders on the middle of the pitch for the sake of being there. We're gonna get into Bruno Fernandes towards the yeah, Bruno's more towards the end, but like Bruno, I think Bruno had a fantastic game. Spoilers, Bruno was a 4 to me, 4.5, almost 5. And like the work, actually, I think Bruno might be a 5, just because the work Bruno was doing defensively. Bruno was very good defensively. He was very good on the build-up play. He was very good at progressing the ball, and he was also very good at how do you say in that final third area. Bruno was good in everything you want a midfielder to do. But is that what we want Bruno to do? Do we want Bruno to do everything in a football game? And I know we're talking about Casemiro, but my point here is we're asking our midfielders to do too much. We're asking our midfielders to do too much, and I generally believe a midfield system in a professional team that's trying to win a trophy should be for the sake of maximizing everyone's talent. And I'm saying this because it links back to Casemiro in the sense that you're asking Casemiro to do a lot as well. You're asking Bruno to do a lot, and you're asking Casemiro to do a lot as well. And I don't think this midfield is going to work throughout the season. I think he will have to change. He'll have to change it. Either bring that striker down and put another midfielder there, which in my opinion would be a massive waste because you just got Sesko, or just get rid of the back five. Take one of your centre backs and put Casemiro there and bring on Kobbie Mainoo or Ugarte to play next to Bruno and Casemiro. You bring on Mainoo or Ugarte to sit next to one of those guys. I think that's what you do. Cesar saying hi. What are you saying, bro? Again, I left a link in the chat if you guys want to come on. I appreciate you, Cesar. But yeah, Bruno and Casemiro. I know we're just talking about Casemiro, but Casemiro being asked to do a lot. I don't currently believe in this midfield. Next player, Kobbie Mainoo. I know Kobbie Mainoo only had a short spell, but even then, it's like when Kobbie Mainoo gets the ball, what I like about I'm going to put Kobbie Mainoo as a free. I don't think he had enough time to really show anything more. But when you have a player like Kobbie Mainoo, who, when he gets the ball, he's always looking to either progress the ball forwards or at least play the ball sideways. Kobbie Mainoo is that type of player who is always looking to play the ball. What are your thoughts about Man U signing Sesko? I dropped a video on that yesterday, actually. Yeah, it was yesterday when they kind of announced it. I dropped a video on no, it was on Thursday. I dropped a video on Sesko on Thursday. And my thing is, I do like Sesko. I do like him as a player. I like how much potential he has. I know this is a bit reckless, but I said that Sesko kind of has Haaland type potential. I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Haaland, but he has the potential to be an elite goal scorer. The one thing I will say in terms of expectation is that we should have our expectations not too high. I don't think we should expect Sesko to score 20 goals this season. If Sesko scored 15 goals this season, I would be very happy. I think that's my target for Sesko. 15 Premier League goals. That's my target for him. But yeah, my expectations for Sesko, I don't expect him to come in and score 20 goals. I expect him to be that type of player in next season. I think he needs another year playing under United, playing under the system, playing in the Premier League. Again, similar to a lot of our players, he is very young. So I'm not going to jump at the gun on Sesko. But overall, amazing summer transfer window so far. Brilliant job to bring Sesko in, but we need to keep our expectations quite low. Again, says that I appreciate you, bro. Welcome. Yeah, going back to Kobbie Mainoo, it's the same thing of this midfield, and this is the reason why I don't think this midfield will work. This midfield will have to change. The formation on this midfield will have to change. And it's because of players like Menu sitting on the bench for no reason. It's because of players like Ugarte who can be a ball winner for you. Sitting with, I would love to see a midfield of Ugarte, Menu, and Fernandez. That would be such a good midfield, but you don't get that. And I feel like that type of midfield would maximize Bruno's, Kobe's, and Ugarte's talent. But at the minute, again, you just have two midfielders there for the sake of having two midfielders. Moving on, Luke Shaw had he he played what 10 minutes. He's a free. There's nothing much more to say there about Luke Shaw. He's a free. I didn't think anything particular of Luke Shaw. There wasn't enough time there. Dallo as well, a free. We didn't have enough time. I feel like Amory kind of made his substitutions quite late, so there wasn't really much there. And Bumu, not the best of games, but at the same time, he spent a lot of the game playing as a striker. Who was he going up against? And Bumu played a long time going up against Pongracic, and that guy's a unit. And when I know he's strong, but he's on the shorter side, and he was getting very physical with him. And then Bumu didn't quite have the answer for that type of physicality. Yeah, just a lackluster game from Mbeumo. Nothing really that much to talk about. I think he had a 3 out of 5 game. Not particularly bad, but also nothing to scream home about. Lenny Euro, again, very solid. Yeah, we do need that goal from Quinn and Mbeumo. I'm not too worried about that just yet. And the reason why I say that is because I think Mbeumo and Cunha will quite comfortably both give us 10 plus goals this season in the Premier League. I genuinely believe that. I believe that we've got two mature players who are already Premier League tested, who are battle tested, who are needed in this team that will be playing a lot of games. And I do think that goals will fall for Mbeumo and Cunha. I feel like our attack was really, really reinforced this summer transfer window. I feel like we've got a lot of talent in our defense. What really worries me is the midfield, but we're gonna talk about the midfield a bit more once I finish this tier list. What do you think is missing for Manchester United to be contending in the Premier League and Champions League? I feel like I feel like the midfield, sorting that out will definitely be a priority. For us to be in the Premier League and Champions League contention, I do feel like we need to get an elite goalkeeper in. If you look at City, if you look at Arsenal, Liverpool, Real Madrid, Barcelona, all these teams have very good goalkeepers. You can make an argument for a lot of their goalkeepers to be the best goalkeeper in the world. Not all of them, but a lot of them have that argument, and I don't think we have that. We had it with David De Gea, but again, people kind of forget that with David De Gea, we kind of had that problem with him playing with his feet. So yeah, I feel like to do that, we need to fix this midfield. Our front three needs to show that they can really produce. I know I said I'm not worried about Sescu, and I'm not worried about Mbeumo and Cunha, but they really need to show us that, because it's just a feeling that I have. It's not concrete. We need to see a full season of those three players really producing at a high level. Again, the goalkeeper really needs to come into play, and this midfield needs to he needs to sort out the formation, and he may need another midfielder in, because Casemiro will not last a very long time. So yeah, I feel like if we had another midfielder, an elite CDM to sit next to Kobe Mainu and Bruno Fernandes, if we had another goalkeeper, and if this front three that we currently have, which is quite promising, if that front three can deliver, if each of them can score close to 20 goals individually, then we can compete. Until that happens, we won't be nowhere near competing. But yeah, I was just talking about Lenny Euro. Solid game. I might have to create another tier here, because I feel like Lenny Euro done a very good job on Moise Kean. Moise Kean is not an easy player to defend, especially when you're a taller, lanky defender like Lenny Euro is. Moise Kean is very quick. He's very good on a one-on-one. He can get you out of balance. We saw a lot of times there where he didn't have a lot of space. Moise Kean was still able to get a cross in, and 2 of those crosses were very dangerous. So yeah, Moise Kean is not an easy defender to go up against, and I feel like Lenny Euro kind of had him covered for most of the game. There were times there where Moiskin did get the better of Euro, but for the most part, I do think Euro done a very good job. Not a very good job, but he done a solid job. He done a 3 out of 10 job, which is for a pre-season game against Fiorentina. I'm not really mad at. Matthias de Ligt. I know de Ligt only came for a little bit again, but yeah, that recovery he had after Dogu made that mistake was very good. I feel like de Ligt recovered very well. He allowed he gave the team a lot of stability as soon as he came on. Or Ugarte also played, but again a free, but nothing else. But yeah, on de Ligt, yeah, solid. Didn't play a lot. Again, a lot. All the guys that were substituted in, I can't give them a higher rating than a 3, and it's because we didn't really get enough time to see them play. Next player, Bruno Fernandes. Collier did not play. Leon did not play. Chido did not play, and Rasmus did not play. So we have Bruno and Ahmad left. I was thinking about this. I was going to give Bruno Fernandes a 4 out of 5, but I'm going to give Bruno a 5 out of 5. I'm going to give Bruno a 5 out of 5. You might call it glaze. I don't really care. The reason why I gave Bruno a 5 out of 5, I kind of like already alluded to this when I was talking about Casemiro, and it's because Bruno was asked to do so much in this game, and he executed in so many areas that I feel like he was excellent. Like he was a big part of our final third. What's the word I'm looking for? He was a big part of our final third build up. He had that little shot where he completely missed the goal, which wasn't very good, but I can't put him at. Yeah, I'm going to leave Bruno at 5. He was part of our final third build up. He was very instrumental in our transition period, and defensively he was there. I remember there was this one tackle he made, the recovery he made, fantastic. He was there on the build up phase as well. And something I always criticize Bruno on, and I feel like a lot of people also do, is on Bruno's passing. And it's not his ability. Bruno's passing ability is up there with the best of them. The problem with Bruno's passing usually is that it's very erratic. His timing on the passes are not very good. But in a game like today, where it was a bit more slow, the quality of his passes were very good. I remember there was this one time where it was a throw-in. Bruno gets the ball, and the first pass he makes was to Mbeumo. It was like a first touch pass. It was super hard. I thought the ball was going to go off, but he just gave it enough weight where the ball started to slow down near the box, and he allowed Mbeumo to beat the defender, reach the ball, slow it down, and face the defender. It was a very good pass, and there were a lot of passes like that throughout the game where I was just like, wow, Bruno's passing ability is up there with the best of them. It's just that in most games, Bruno, when he's playing as that number 10, which, I believe he should, and we need to change the midfield to accommodate that. But in a lot of those times, he gets criticized because he's making passes left, right, and center, sometimes not timed at all. He's just trying to create stuff, and that gets him a lot of stick. But I feel like today he was very collected. He was very calm. He was picking the right time to make the passes. And yeah, let me just look at what his completion rate today was 91%. And usually, I know this because I look at Bruno a lot. Usually, Bruno's pass rate is somewhere around 95%, 75%. If I go look at last season, I'm pretty sure his passing rate will be somewhere around that 75, 80, on a bad day, 60%. But on today's game, see, this is why it's good to use numbers to back yourself up. Today it was at 91%. That just goes to explain once again why I don't like this midfield. It's kind of an oxymoron here because there's something good that Bruno's pass completion was quite high, but at the same time, I don't like tidy Bruno. I do not like tidy Bruno. I like when Bruno is trying to make stuff happen. It is erratic. Sometimes it is frustrating, but I feel like it works because when Bruno gets that pass right it usually leads to an assist or a big opportunity at bare minimum. When you're asking Bruno to play so deep, when you're asking him to be involved with the centre backs and then the transition phase and the build up phase and the final third, you're asking Bruno to do too much. And that's part of the reason why I think we should change this formation as soon as possible. But once again, we'll talk about that later. Amad Diallo, arguably the most controversial player on the pitch today. And that is because when he was on the ball, I did like what Ahmad was doing because Ahmad was always looking to make something happen. Throughout the game, you saw it. Ahmad was always trying to make something happen. He was always looking to link up with Mbemu. But the problem with Ahmad comes in the sense that he's not a right wing back. He's not a right wing back. Yes, he can play in that position, but when you play Ahmad at your right wing back position, and I feel like he can do a solid job defensively. Ahmad has that. He has that dog in him where he may not be the best defender, but he's going to work extra hard off the ball to compensate for that, which is definitely a bonus. But you're losing out on what makes Ahmad special, and there's that final third essence, is that final third ability. Ahmad should not be the one playing behind Mbemu. He has to, but he shouldn't have to. And I feel like I kind of understand where Amory's struggling here, because if he doesn't play Ahmad, he's putting a player who is extremely talented. Ahmad is he has one of the highest potentials on this team, excellent on the ball. Last season, with 19 goal contributions, with a lot of injuries, Ahmad showed us that he can be competent. He can be relied upon. He was instrumental against Liverpool. He was instrumental against City. Ahmad is a big game player as well. When you're playing Ahmad at a right wing back, you're taking a lot from that. You're losing that magic that makes Ahmad special. That's what people online saying, "Oh, don't play Ahmad our right wing back because he's not good defensively." I don't really think that is the problem. The problem is that when you play him so far back, you're losing a lot of that magic. I feel like Ahmad at best was a free today. I don't think he really had the opportunity to shine. But yeah, game ratings for today, I do feel like Bruno was a 5, Maguire and Mason Mount were a 4. Most of our players were solid at best. The subs didn't have a lot of time to make anything happen. And unfortunately, Dorgu and Heaven did not have very strong outings. Still excited about the season, but overall, this is what I think about the game. Bruno was excellent, asked to do a lot, tried to deliver as much as he could, and I feel like he was quite successful on that. Very disappointed to see Rasmus Højlund not playing today. I made a video on Rasmus Højlund this Thursday talking about how I felt really bad for him, and that feeling is just growing and growing again. Yes, Sesko is a great signing, but you have to feel bad for Rasmus Højlund. He was never given a true opportunity at United. And I say that because his first season, the team was awful, dealing with a lot of injuries. Second season, he also dealt with a lot of injuries, and the team was also awful. And now in his third year, where things were a bit more stable, he's probably going to get sold or at least loaned out to AC Milan. You have to feel sorry for the kid. He works really hard. He's passionate for the club, but it just looks like we're going to ship him out. But yeah, not the best game of football. But we move forward. There are more things that I want to talk about today. Once again, guys, I have left a link in the chat. If you guys want to join, please feel free to do so. But I am going to use this time now to kind of get things off on what I think about Manchester United going into this season. We're going to talk about Baleba. We're going to carry on probably another half an hour or 40 minutes. We're going to keep talking. What else? We're going to talk about this front three that we currently have, which is very, very inspiring. And we're also going to talk about what was the other thing? Let me just double check my notes. I had one more thing. I'm pretty sure of that. And we're also going to talk about the new training facilities, which I think were quite interesting. But am I going to really make a video on that? No, we're just going to stick to Baleba this season and the front three. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, let's carry on. First thing, the this season, I do feel good going into this season. I do feel very confident, and that is for a few reasons. Now, this last preseason game against Fiorentina was not very inspiring. Did not really like it. You can watch my game reaction to kind of see why. But overall, I feel like there is a lot of potential, and there has been a lot of momentum built going into the season. I'm going to make a more thorough video on our front three, but that is the main reason why I feel so excited about United going into the season. I forgot where I saw the stat. Might have been Sky Sports, might have been the BBC or even ESPN. But I saw this stat this week that said that United, amongst Europe's top five leagues, where there was second to last when it came to converting the expected goals. In other words, meaning we were creating a lot of chances, but our finishing was awful. And that is why this front three fills me with so much hope. Getting Sesko, who, as far as striker comes, is an amazing talent. I'll say it again. He has Haaland type potential, and I'm not going to apologize for that. Cunha, very, very solid player. Last season, 15 goals in the Premier League, and his ball progression was amazing. A lot of times last season, he did look like the best player on the pitch for most of the time in his time at Watford, and now he gets to come to United and be on number 10. And then Wermu, who last season scored 20 goals. Going from Garnacho, Højlund, Xerxes, and Ahmad at times in and out with injuries to this new front three fills me with a lot of hope. And that is a big reason why I am so excited for the season. Second reason why I am excited for the season is because I feel like although the midfield is still a problem, I feel like overall we have a structure that Amorim can work with. I feel like now the players know what Amorim football looks like. They know what to expect from the manager. The manager knows what to expect from their players. I still feel like that midfield needs to change for us to really be successful. However, we're gonna see how that develop. But overall, I feel like if you're gonna compare the structure of this team from last season, where we were at the start of the season to this year, I feel like we are in a much better space. We've got a lot of talent defensively. We've got a lot of talent offensively. We still have Bruno. We still have Casemiro, Ugarte, and Kobe Mainu. Although I do feel like the midfield is a problem area, I feel like you have enough talent there to be able to solve that problem. I feel like our midfield is more of a tactical change that I believe Amorim is smart enough to make that change. It's just going to be on how quick he can make that change before he gets sacked. Because if that change doesn't come and we don't play good football, he will be sacked. But again, I feel like he has enough talent in the middle of the pitch, and I feel like Amorim is a good manager to where he can make that change. Point number 3 kind of segs kind of leads me into that, and it's a simple fact that Amorim has done this before. Amorim has brought a sleeping giant back into form. Now with Sporting, he did win the league. I don't think we will win the league this season. I feel like we are very far off from that. However, I do feel like Amorim can at least bring us to a point where we can be competent once again. One of my other points is that Champions League football now allows 5 teams. I know that the target for a club like United should not be Champions League football. Our target should always be about winning the league. That should always be our target, no matter what. However, you have to be realistic. We are at the start of a build-up phase. And in that sense, you kind of understand that getting Champions League football would be a big bonus. It would be a big bonus. And the simple fact that now in the Premier League, 5 teams can make it, it gives Amorim also a lot more wiggle room. Again, Amorim is the manager that has done this before. He has worked with Sporting, a team who hadn't won a title since what? Before 2004, before I was born. They had before 2000, was it 18 years in 2020? before they won it. 18, 19 years before they won it, it was something crazy like that. So yeah, again, not saying that he's going to take us to win the Premier League, but I feel like Amorim has the track record to where he can get us close to that point. And those are the main reasons why I feel like we can feel confident about this season. We can feel confident heading into this season. There's a lot of negativity around the club, and I feel like that's kind of like phasing out now. The signings were very good. The character announcement was very good. We had a solid preseason. We've managed to get a lot of our key players that were injured, like Lisandro Martinez, Luke Shaw, back into this team. So there's a lot of forward momentum at United right now, and I feel like that is going to allow us to have a good season. Um, Next point, let's talk about our midfield more in depth. If I can open this. Okay, if you guys bear with me. Yes, when we're talking about United going into the season, the main reason, the main thing that fills me up with a lot of hope is this front three: Sesko, Cunha, and Bremu. There is so much potential with this front three. I don't even know where to start. We all know the type of scoring potential that Sesko has, being 6'5", excellent in the air, and with a rocket ship for a right foot. Um, or is Sesko right foot or left foot? Let me actually check that up. He is right footed. I don't know why I doubted myself there. Anyways, let's start that again. The I don't know why I doubted myself there. Sesko is right footed. Yeah. Anyways, Benjamin Sesko again, amazing scoring potential. Someone who's 6'5", excellent in the air, and someone who has a rocket ship for a right foot. He will get goals. I genuinely believe Sesko will get goals, and he's had enough time to develop at Leipzig. It's not like Xerxes or Hoyland, who he came in to try and develop. This is someone who was already banging in goals at Leipzig. Very, very happy with what Sesko can go on to do. And Buemo and Cunha, I've talked about these two extensively before, following their journey to United, talking about the rumors, making videos after they had already signed. So really and truly with those two is just echoing what everyone else was saying, and it's the simple fact that Mbemu and Cunha are two players who lost it in the Premier League, were able to do it for Watford and Bradford, respectively. They will now be playing with way better talent in Kobe Mainu, in Bruno Fernandes, in Casemiro, in Amad Diallo, in each other, in this front three now, that whatever they were able to do last season, I do feel like they can do more. And again, I was talking about the stat that I saw this week, showed that United were one of the teams last season with the lowest expected goals conversion rate, in the sense that we were creating a lot of chances, but our forwards just weren't converting those chances. Not just our forwards, just our team overall was not converting those chances. And now we've got three attackers that can bury chances. Now, Cunha and Mbeumo have not scored yet in the preseason. Sesko has not played yet for United. So I do think the first 5 games will be a bit rough. The first 5 games will be a bit about trying to embed this three and finding the best way for the three of them to really complement each other. And also, part of the reason why I believe Cunha and Mbeumo haven't scored yet is because they haven't really played with that elite of a striker, and a lot of times they've had also to try and plug in the middle. With Sesko now, he's going to allow both of them to play a lot better. And both of them are also going to allow Sesko to play a lot better. It's like these three are going to feed each other. And Bruno is also going to feed them. And also, they are going to feed Bruno. I know it's like a front three, but in that front three, you can also plug in Bruno because we saw what Bruno was able to do last season with over 30 goal contributions in a United team that finished 15th. Even though we finished 15th, Bruno was still able to register over 30 goal contributions in all competitions last season. If Bruno can do that with Garnacho, with Amad Diallo, and Rasmus Højlund and Xerxes, if he can do that with those three players, he can definitely do that with these three. So yeah, I know it is a front three, but in this front three, you can also plug in Bruno Fernandes because Bruno's going to benefit massively. Bruno's going to benefit massively from playing with these three players. So I feel like it's going to be a very healthy system, a very healthy. I want to call it a rotating circle, but it's really just the front three and the dynamics that these three are going to create for themselves and for each other. It's going to be very interesting to see how they get along. Again, we need to give them 5 games. Kunin and Mbeumo have not played with Sesko yet. Sesko has not played for United yet. They've not scored in the preseason just yet. So we will need time to allow these players to kind of embed into each other. We will need time. However, when that happens, I believe that we can really be successful. And stopping there and moving on to talk about, our final point today. And it's about the boy Baleba. Baliba, I don't really know how to pronounce his name too well. But the thing is, I don't think getting in another midfielder is what's going to solve our midfield problems. You can get in Baleba and he can sit next to Bruno Fernandes, and I think that will not solve our midfield problems. And that is because I think our midfield problem is more of a structural thing, it's more of a formation thing than it is an individual player thing. That being said, I do still think that this signing would be amazing. What Fabrizio Romano has said, if I can share the screen with you guys, if you just bear with me 1 second, is that United are still in conversations with how do you say, with the representatives of Baleba. I'm going to bring it up on screen now for you guys to see if you haven't already. So this is more or less what Romano has said, and this came out today, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it came out today. Oh, sorry, it came out last night around 11 p.m. That United remain in contact with Baleba and agents in the last 48 hours, and that is a positive thing. And part of the reason why is because of how much of a talent Baleba really is. He's a great midfielder. Don't let what I just said about him take away from what he has done. If you look at his stats, if you watched him play for Brighton last season, if you saw the way that Brighton midfield kind of played, we need to get Brighton's recruitment because they went from Bissouma to Caicedo to Baleba. They've signed 3 elite CDMs back to back to back. And with Baleba, you can clearly see where he shines. It is in ball recovery, take-ons, and just defensively and progressively, that is where he really shines. He's not the amazing passer yet, but at the same time, he's going to be sat next to Bruno Fernandes. So a lot of that, Bruno Fernandes and Lisandro Martinez, let's not forget that. So a lot of that burden will be taken away from him. Do not let anything that I said about our structural problem take anything away from who Baleba is as a player. He is a fantastic player and a great talent. And if we can sign Baleba, let's do that. Let's get him in. However, let's not be delusional and think that just because we sign Baleba, that is going to solve our midfield problems. That's not what it's going to do. I generally believe our midfield problems are a structural thing. And I saw it today in the game against Fiorentina. You've got Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes, and Bruno especially, he is doing so much work that at the minute, the midfield just looks like you have 2 midfielders there for the sake of having two midfielders. You have Bruno and Casemiro sat next to each other for the sake of it. Because what is Bruno's true role in this midfield? I saw Bruno getting the ball back from the goalkeeper. I saw Bruno linking up with Mason Mount and Cunha when we almost scored a goal. I saw Bruno tracking back and getting a last minute tackle. I saw Bruno do all these things. He is doing too much. And another thing that I said is that Bruno's pass completion in this game was 91%. Usually, Bruno's pass completion is 70, more towards 75%, 80%. And that's because Bruno is usually taking a lot of chances. When you play Bruno so deep, he is forced to play a lot of those tidy passes. His passing ability is amazing, but where Bruno really shines, where his game really shines, is when he's making those risky decisions, when he's on that final third. At the minute, Bruno, he can't really focus on that because he's focusing on too many other areas. Casemiro as well. Casemiro is a reader of the game, one of the best readers of the game we have seen over the last 15 years. We're forgetting that what Casemiro was able to do next to Modric and Toni Kroos was legendary. And even after, no, yeah, just it was from 2016 to 2022, roughly that period, where Casemiro was one of the best midfielders in the world. And even his first year at United, he was nominated to go and win the Ballon d'Or. Casemiro is a fantastic midfielder. And yeah, he's on the outside of his prime. By the minute, you're asking him to do a lot as well. I would rather us have a system where, personally, I'd rather us play with three midfielders or two sitting and one attacking. And that's because it's going to give us a lot more flexibility, and it's also going to allow us to play Kobe Mainu and Ugarte on the other position. I feel like you take away one of the centre backs and you put another midfielder there, and I'll give our team another engine. And this is like a criticism that I have about Ruben Amorim at the minute, and is that he's trying to fit this idea of a back three into this team. He's like trying to force feed it into our team. But at the minute, I just feel like he should look at the talent he has and he should find the best way to maximize that talent. And why this links back to Baleba is that I feel like he's a great midfielder. He is a great talent, and he's someone that we can develop too. But what is the point of signing Baleba if we don't know what that's going to look like in our team? What's going to happen with then Kobe and Ugarte? Because I get Casemiro. Casemiro is not going to be here for a long time. But what's then going to happen with Kobe and Ugarte? What is the real long-term vision for this team? Yes, the new signings, they're exciting. We can talk about them. We can make new videos about them. We can make tweets about them. It gets engagement and etc. But what is the true point of getting the signing in? Please, guys, let me know in the comments. I've left the link in this chat for you guys to try and join. Just let me know what the point of that is. Because at the minute, I don't really see the point of us getting Ugarte in this team. But anyways, guys, that's kind of like my little rant. I kind of had to get that off my chest because, yeah, Baleba, exciting player, but what really is the point? Overall takeaway from the stream is that the game was not the best. We have a lot of things to try and go out there and improve on. And I am kind of scared for that game against Arsenal. I am excited excited for this season, but I am scared for that game against Arsenal because Arsenal are a much better team. I feel like they've done a much better bit of business there getting Gyökeres in, although we did get Sesko. And just that Arsenal needed a striker. They played great football. They needed a striker, and they got that striker. So I am kind of scared to go and play Arsenal next season. I do think we lose. But yeah, knock on wood. Hopefully we do manage to get a result. I feel like although, you know, this doesn't really fill me with much happiness, but if we could get a draw against Arsenal, I feel like that would definitely be a positive result. Adapt to the talent instead of vice versa. Exactly, Frederick. Like, he needs to adapt to what he currently has than to try and force feed it into the team. Because personally, I don't think that's going to work. But anyways, guys, once again, I appreciate you watching until the end. This was a very good stream. It was nice to do this. We're going to be doing post-game streams from now on. Not as many watch-alongs. I feel like I don't really enjoy watch alongs as much. I kind of like to watch the games and then react to the games after. I feel like that's where the balance is at for me. But I appreciate everyone watching. I appreciate you, Frederick and Cesar. Frederick, I appreciate the super chat. Yeah, bro, just the support you give this channel is amazing. Thank you very much for continuing to support the channel, Frederick. You are definitely a real one. And I'll see you guys next week. After the game against Arsenal, we'll be back live. So yeah, I'll see you guys soon.